welcome to The Bite. My name is Jackie. Today's video we're going to be making some crispy chicken thighs with a beautiful fig glaze on top. And this fig glaze has some really special ingredients that give it that savory kind of umami touch, and I love it. I've been making this since before I started my channel even, and I never really wrote down what I put in it. I just kind of made it one day with what I had. My husband always makes fun of me because he always says, I use what I have, but I really did for this dish. And then one day I just decided, why don't I write the ingredients down? And I did, and now I'm sharing it with you. So while you're here, don't forget to hit the subscribe button so you can and the bell to be notified of when I post videos. I always post at least once a week, so stay tuned to see more. Let me show you what you're gonna need. There's very few ingredients here, but it gives you the most luscious dish ever. So I have some chicken thighs. Usually I use 5, but I found that these were kind of on the larger side, or at least a couple of them were, so I have 4. You wanna make sure that you pat them dry. So that way it gets a really crisp exterior, and that's what I like to have for this dish. For the sauce, you will need, so I have some onions. These are cut in like the half moon shape. I have a clove of garlic, and what makes it fig glaze is this fig preserve. So I have used fig butter, I've used fig jam, I've used fig preserves. They're all pretty much the same thing. Maybe different types of figs, different sugar content. Use whatever you prefer. If you find that some of them are looser than others, like a fig butter might be kind of thicker, then just add a little bit of water to it. And we actually will need water for this glaze. And I'll add that once we need it. So I have that. I have Dijon mustard, soy sauce, and a little hint of balsamic vinegar. So you're getting the sweet, the salty, the umami, the tang. It's everything all packed into one. So let's head over to the stove and start cooking. So I've got some vegetable oil in a nonstick skillet. You want to use vegetable oil because it has a higher smoke point than olive oil. And I have my chicken thighs. I'm gonna put them skin side down into the hot oil. And you want to hear that sizzle right away, because that means you're gonna get a golden crust, which will then give you a really nice crispy exterior with the fig dish. You want to leave this on medium-high heat, and you can see it's kind of starting to develop a color. Once it kind of starts to get pretty brown, you want to flip it over so that the other side can cook as well. I have a plate lined with a paper towel so that once the chicken is done cooking, you remove it from the oil, put it onto the plate so it can release any excess oil onto the paper towel. So I did end up flipping these a couple of times just so that I can get a really golden color on the chicken skin, and that's what I want. The bottom is cooked as well, but it will cook for another couple minutes in the sauce, so I'm going to remove these from the pan. So there's quite a bit of oil in here because the chicken also rendered off some of its fat. So I'm going to remove some of it, or quite a bit of it actually, and because if we keep it in there, the sauce will separate, and we want it to all stay intact. So I'm going to remove some and leave just a little bit in there. And now straight away into this, I'm gonna add in the onions and the garlic. I wanna collect all those brown bits from the bottom of the pan because that's gonna add a lot of good flavor and some good depth to the sauce. You can see that the onions are starting to caramelize, and at this point, we're ready to add in the sauce. And I did add a little tiny bit of extra oil just to keep the onions going on the heat and kind of keep that sizzle up. Also, while the chicken was frying, if you find that it gets too hot and it starts to splatter everywhere, which it kind of did over here, lower the heat to about medium, and that way it gets the golden crust, but it will cook the inside of the chicken without burning the outside. So that's a good tip that you always want to implement when frying anything. So now I'm gonna add the soy sauce and the balsamic vinegar to the fig jam and the Dijon mustard, and just quickly stir this while keeping an eye on the onions. And now we're ready to add the sauce into the onions. Because the fig jam has sugar in it, this sauce will start to caramelize, and you can overcook it, which will kind of cause it to harden. If that happens, just add some extra water and lower the heat a little bit into your bowl where all the ingredients were, and allow that to mix into the sauce, and that way it kind of becomes smooth again. So I'm gonna actually add because this is a little bit thick for my taste, I'm gonna add about a 1/4 cup of water in here, add it to the sauce, and then we're ready to pour it on the chicken. Whenever I add water to a bowl, I like to add it to the bowl that there were spices in or sauces in so that you can use every last drop. So that's what I'm doing right here. I'm just gonna add all that residual flavor into my sauce. And there are quite a bit of onions in here. This time I lucked out and got some nice big onions, so I used 2. But if you have a large onion, 1 is good. And I'll write that all in the written recipe, which will be on my blog. But yeah, I mean, this is coming together perfectly. This is just about ready. So now what I'm gonna do is add, using new tongs, I'm gonna add the chicken thighs right back into the sauce, skin side up. And I'll meet you back at the table. So now what I like to do is pour just a little bit of the sauce over the chicken, kind of cascading over that crunchy skin. And if you remember, we didn't put any salt onto the chicken or in the sauce because the soy sauce has enough salt. But if you'd like, you can add some freshly cracked black pepper at this point. And of course, I always mention my pops of green, so that's what I'm adding right here to give this dish some life. So now I'm ready to dig in, and I'm choosing this piece right here. And I had to grab my spoon because I do want a little bit extra sauce. And go in. You can just hear how crispy it is just from cutting into it. You want some of the sauce, onion. So good. Chicken is juicy. It's got that sweet and tangy flavor, but a nice undertone of a saltiness from the soy sauce. If you wanted, you could add more salt, but I really like it the way it is because also the Dijon mustard is salty. I enjoyed this because this has been a well-kept, I guess, secret of mine, and I'm glad I get to share it with you now. You're gonna really enjoy it. I hope you give it a try, and when you do, don't forget to tag me on Instagram. And thank you guys so much for watching. We'll see you guys next time on The Bite.